KWT slaying.
What if the truth was never lost, only buried? For centuries, historians, scholars, and even colonial records have confirmed what many tried to silence. The original Israelites were a black people scattered across continents but never erased. Their skin was dark, their customs ancient, and their covenant with Yah eternal. This journey uncovers how the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, described as dark-skinned, Semitic, shared one bloodline. Chased by the Inquisition, many fled to Portugal, then beyond, preserving their heritage across borders. But the story doesn't end in Iberia. Across from West Africa, black Jews built synagogues, kept Torah, and passed down the laws of Moses. The Limba in southern Africa, the Igbo in Nigeria, the Beta Israel in Ethiopia, tribes across the continent boldly declared, "We are the children of Israel." These aren't isolated claims. These are voices rising from the dust, connected by oral histories, Torah traditions, and the unbroken rhythm of their identity. No such legacy exists among European Jews. No centuries of tribal witness, no matching traditions, no trace of ancient covenant keeping. Maps, art, and archaeology tell the same story. The Israelites were scattered, enslaved, and displaced, but never lost. The world always knew who they were. Their presence was visible, their customs alive, their story intact. This book doesn't speculate. It confirms the Israelites were black, bound by blood, culture, and covenant to the Most High. This is not just history, it's restoration. The truth was never destroyed, only buried beneath centuries of deception. Get your copy of They Always Knew We Were Israelites today, available now on Amazon.com.
Salama family, salama. How y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. So today, fam, we have Brother Fast Nickel back, and we're going to be talking about what's happening with crypto. And, some people are going to miss out on the change, and it's going to be quick and short. But let me get Brother Fast Nickel on here. Hey, Brother Fast Nickel, say hi to the family.
Shalom, family. How is everyone? Well, I know you can't tell. How's everybody today? And you, Brother Yacoba?
What's that?
And you, Brother Yacoba, you doing good today?
I'm doing good. I'm waiting on the Most High. I got expectations. I do believe we have a whole bunch of life-changing events about to happen. There's so much going on. I can't even keep track of it. I mean, real.
Yes, I totally agree.
So, Brother Fast Nickel, what you got for the family today?
So at first, I was just going to come on and just have a little conversation, but just in less than 24 hours, there's so much information that I want to share. It's not meant to put any fear. It's really meant to prepare everyone, because as I was saying to Brother Yacoba behind the scenes, it's amazing how everything that we read about in the book of Revelation or the book of Daniel is really starting to fall in line. And for those who are not spiritually aware or don't pay attention to the Bible, they are really going to be behind the eight ball, in my opinion.
Well, a lot of people don't understand the prophecies, and so even like look at the people who are in here right now as we talk about crypto. It should be more than that, because what's happening is life altering. I mean, Trump just signed one of the bills, right? So I'm sure you're going to talk about that today. And people don't understand that, this is like the 1918 and stuff, when they start changing the whole economic system. Is that important?
It really is. So I'm going to go slow, and hopefully if you can notice in the chat if anybody has questions, because I'm going to go over some things that people may not be aware of, but I want them to be aware of it.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So I named this Fedwire ISO 200.2.2 Go Live because Fedwire went live officially on Monday, July 14th. And as everybody knows, when they claim when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. Well, the fact that America has put this in place this week in Congress, they're calling it Crypto Week because of all the bills that are getting signed. Like, from this point on, this is go time. Like, if you thought this was nonsense or you didn't want to believe it, well, it's now official. So you can either keep your head in the sand or you can prepare and be ready.
So, Brother Fast Nickel, can you explain to the family what is Fedwire?
Sure. So Fedwire is a messaging system that the banks use internally when sending communications. And what's interesting is I have a Monday Q&A class, and one of the persons that are in that class actually works in the bank. And this person was able to tell me that in the back channels, they were able to see the Fedwire and the ISO 200.2.2 actually live as of Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's happening. And I'm gonna go into why XRP is going up, but why crypto overall is going up. There's a lot of things in play, and so I just want to make everybody aware of what's going on.
Okay.
So, as everyone knows, this is the main bill that got signed, called the Genius Act. And so there's two other bills. I'm going to talk about some crypto related items to these bills. So the first one is, with the Genius Act, is support for blockchain innovation. So it encourages investment in blockchain technology as part of a broader innovation funding. It may offer grants or tax incentives to developers and companies building decentralized apps or infrastructures. It also has regulatory clarity for digital assets. So that was the big problem with the SEC, is no one had any type of clarity, but now we do. So it's pushing for clear definitions and frameworks around cryptocurrencies, tokens, and digital asset classes, which aims to reduce uncertainty for crypto companies operating in the US. Also, we're looking at education and workplace training in Web3. Now, you as a programmer, like I had this conversation with a buddy of mine today, just telling him how Web3 is a game changer, because with Web3 now, you don't have to be as technically savvy, because everything is going to be kind of like plug and play. It's kind of be like a WYSIWYG in a sense with Web3. It's going to fund blockchain education and certify programs, prepare the workforce for careers in crypto, blockchain development, cybersecurity, and fintech. regarding digital ID and infrastructure, and this is really what's important here. It supports the development of secure digital identity systems leveraging blockchain. It also ties into broader digital infrastructure initiatives to modernize public services and protect user privacy. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more. Um, so, digital ID and infrastructure. So, let me just talk about a pro and a con. So the pro is increased security and convenience. It's secure access to services. A verified digital identity can make it easier and safer to access government services, healthcare, banking, and voting systems. It reduces fraud with blockchain-backed ID systems. It's much harder for someone to impersonate you or steal your identity. Now, the con is your privacy risks and surveillance concerns. So centralized tracking, if not implemented carefully, digital IDs can lead to increased government or corporate surveillance. Data misuse. There is a risk of personal data being hacked, sold, or used without consent if protections aren't strong. Now, with blockchain and digital IDs, your identity, now this is important, your identity, credentials, and activity, because you know the digital ID system went into effect in May. So it could be more interconnected and accessible than ever before. So here's some examples. So I'm gonna give you an example of what a typical day in our lives going forward could be. So in the morning, you can have a trip to a healthcare visit to your doctor or a hospital. You check into your doctor's office using your digital ID, your medical records, your insurance information, your consent forms, everything is accessed instantly via blockchain and AI. There's no paperwork or repeated questions. They don't need to ask you anything because everything is stored on your ID. Now, from there in the afternoon, you go for a job application. Normally, you apply for a job online, but instead of uploading a resume, your verified education, skills, and work history are shared instantly from your digital credentials. Employers trust it because the data is tamper-proof and verified on-chain. So there's you don't have to worry about somebody boasting or lying about what they said they did. Everything is going to be verified. And then let's say that evening you want to take a trip and you need to take care of the travel and payments. You book an international flight, your digital passport and travel history are securely shared with customs and airline authorities. You pay for your tickets with a crypto wallet that's linked to your digital ID, no card needed. Now, the one thing I didn't put here is one of the things that they're doing with these coins, because they're able to control it. I guess maybe this is where you own nothing and be happy comes into play. They're not really going to allow you to save money because they're going to put a time frame on when you have to spend it. So that's interesting.
And on what you can spend it on.
And what you can spend it on, correct. So here is some example of what's available. All of the following could potentially be linked to your blockchain-based digital ID. So your identity, such as your passport, driver's license, voter ID, your financial information, such as your credit score, crypto wallets, and your tax records, your medical, your health records, prescriptions, insurance, education, your diplomas, certification, and transcripts, your work, so your employment history, licenses, and contracts. From a legal standpoint, what you own, your court documents. From a social media standpoint, your accounts, reputation. Now, what's interesting about the legal, so anyone who's purchased a house, you know, you first have to go get a loan from the bank, get approved. Then you got to go and get title insurance, make sure there's no liens against the property. Going forward, you're not going to need to do any of that because it's all going to be tied to blockchain and AI, that the moment you want to buy a house, it's going to instantly, within a few minutes, have everything in place for you.
Yeah. Did you notice that Coinbase just came out with a base wallet, which is
Yes.
going to allow you to do all this stuff as well? People don't realize. So you have the Genius Act, you have this base wallet, you have AI, you have all of these things happening. The laws passing, digital ID, all at the same time, right?
All at the same
It's
time.
it's a new economy already. People just don't realize it.
Yeah, and like you said, all at the same time, and you can ignore it, but you can't escape it.
Yeah.
Now, in my opinion, a big reason for all of this is because we've come to a point in time where there's a lack of trust. People don't trust the governments. People definitely don't trust America and the financial system. You can't even trust what you hear on the news. There's a lack of trust. And so therefore, through blockchain, the trust element is taken out because everything has already been validated. And in my opinion, that's good and bad. Now, just think of it. This week, which was called Crypto Week. So we had the Genius Act that was passed. And at the time yesterday, the Clarity Act and the Anti-CBDC Act was pending. But I think within the last hour, these both were approved. So everything is a go.
So let me ask you this. I heard that, well, let me ask you two things. The Clarity Act, explain that, and the Anti-CBDC Act, did they really sign that? Because I heard that the Senate was going to change it where,
Yeah,
you're going to end up having the CBDC.
So they initially didn't sign it because they didn't want the CBDCs. So supposedly it was removed, and which is a good thing. So to answer your question, so the Genius Act was passed by both the House yesterday, and now is just headed to Trump's desk for a signature, which he's going to sign off on it. The Clarity Act was passed by the House, but it just has to, I think, go to the Senate. Yeah, the Senate for approval. And I think, I didn't get a chance to check, but I do think that within the last hour that might have been approved. And then the Anti-CBD Act. So this was also passed. It's just got to move to the Senate for them to finalize. But this was the key.
Does this act, the Anti-CBD Surveillance Act, does that really prohibit them from using CBDCs? Or is that a facade? Because I heard two different things. I wasn't sure what was happening.
So, in my opinion, what this does is they're going to come out with the stable coins, but no central bank currencies. Because the problem with this, this is really just taking a broken fiat system and moving into digital, which we already are digital already, but they're just rephrasing it. And so nobody wants this because nothing's really changed. So through the stable.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the expert, but I don't see the difference personally between a CBDC and a stable coin. I mean, am I missing something here?
So the CBDC is sanctioned or presented by the governments and the central banks, whereas the stable coins, not anybody can create a stable coin but anyone who gets approval. So Walmart, because Walmart is such a big entity, they may come out with a stable coin. I don't necessarily see Walmart, but definitely like a JP Morgan, like the banks will have their own stable coin. PayPal is going to have their own stable coin. So big entities will have their own stable coin, but it has to be backed by an asset.
But let me ask you this, because it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to me that, okay, just because the feds can issue CBDCs, even though, they're supposed to be anti-CBDC, it moved the financial structure to the corporate system, just like, public-private partnerships when it came to electricity and oil and gas. Right now, it moves the economy to the corporate sector, no longer controlled by the federal government, which seems to me what they want, because the billionaires have taken over America. So at the same time, when it comes to stable coins, you can still program them. They're still part of smart contracts. So other than who issues it, it's pretty much the same thing, right? I mean, we still have the same issues of overreach and surveillance.
Yes, I agree with that. And this is why my belief is just get your act in gear, but be prepared, do the best you can to be prepared to live away from this. I mean, I don't think anybody can technically hide. You can just kind of escape. Hopefully definitely if you're outside the US, you can get away much better than being in the US. But eventually, after 2030, it's going to be very tough to get away from any of this stuff. We're going to just need the most high protection.
Yeah, you don't want to be here by 2030. You really don't. I'm just hoping we all could get out of here, but before then, I'm just trusting the most high. But
Now, I thought this was a perfect slide because, as you said, this is the evolution. This is a turning point in history. We are not just a new financial system, but these robots, Terminator from 40 years ago is now coming into play. I mean, we are living and working with robots. My buddy, he was telling me today, his brother has been out of work for a year. He's in security, and he's just had a hard time with AI and all these other things coming into play. They're just eliminating jobs.
So here's the funny thing, right? They're eliminating jobs, right? But also what people don't realize, your 401ks, your retirement plans have the potential of disappearing as they shift into this new system. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but y'all see how the economy has been in the devaluation. I think the dollar went down 10%, right? It looked like it could happen overnight, whatever's coming. I'm just saying.
Now, this is where we talk about the future of finance. So here's what these bills have done and do. So first is there's going to be no more speculation. When you talk to people about crypto, they didn't believe. They thought it was a speculative asset, etc. But now that these bills have come into play, they're signed and they are law, there's going to be no more speculation. Crypto is no longer a side hustle. This is now the real deal, where institutions are about to drop trillions of dollars. Stable coins and stablecoin issuers will become bank integrated payment rails. The investment risk without clarity is no longer. That was the big thing. Everybody kept talking to the SEC that there was no clarity, but now there is. There's token classification, there's partnerships. Now, what this also does is for institutional capital, Fortune 100s and Fortune 500s are now going to invest deeply into crypto. And I don't know if everybody really understands what that means. If you've been in crypto and you're getting into crypto now, you're going to be riding a wave of financial wealth, in my opinion.
Yeah. And look at it this way, right? Because a lot of people looked at the crypto thing, since we've been talking about this for a long time, as another conspiracy theory, right? That's what it was like, right? It's like, oh, they're going to tell you with the conspiracy theory, that type of feel. Right. But now there's laws governing this, right? Which means it's a new financial system. Now that you have laws that governs its use, and the government is backing it, right? They already have their own reserve, but now you have laws written on the books. This means there's an alternative economic system that
Correct.
90% of you all are not in right now. Like Fast Nickel and I have said, our goal is to hit and run.
Yep.
Get the money and get out and get to the continent and get some property. That's what we want to do, because we know it's the beat system, but there's this transition stage, and that's how we looking at it, at least.
And Brother Yacoba, think about this. I came onto your show in November, and we were talking about XRP, because I love XRP, and it was 58 cents. And look, everybody who bought at 58 cents, it's now at $3.50. Like, anyone who who bought back in November after your show has seen a tremendous gain in their XRP.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing with crypto, even though it's volatile, your returns are higher really in crypto. It really is. Correct. I mean, it's faster than what normal stocks and stuff like that. Now, understand this, that because people are losing their jobs, right? And like I say, the federal government is the biggest employer of the world, not just America. That's going to affect everything. Your stock, your 401k, everything is changing. The whole financial system is changing. That's why they call it fintech, right? This is a whole digital system, AI monitored, tracked, digital ID. They're gonna force you to log into your internet, and they're gonna follow everything. No more anonymity. All of this is going away, right? And,
all going away.
You got to position yourself to either get out of here. When I'm waiting on the Most High. We all waiting on the Most High, but you got to use wisdom too. Wise as a serpent, but gentle as a dove.
Correct. Now, this is a shot of the ETH dominance. So this is a daily. So as you can see at the footer, this is July, and back around July 4th, 5th, you see where the blue line passed the red line. That's where the ETH dominance. So when it comes to cryptocurrency, the two powerhouses are Bitcoin, and then there's Ethereum. And so when Bitcoin is dominating, that's when you see the other coins kind of lagging behind. But they always talk about altcoin season, and altcoin just means any cryptos other than Bitcoin. And so when you have altcoin season, that's when the altcoins take rise. And what you've seen in the news, if you follow any crypto channels, a lot of big players have recently this week started selling their Bitcoin and pumping it into Ethereum. And so that's why you're seeing the Ethereum dominance. And because a lot of these cryptos run on the Ethereum blockchain, that's why we're seeing so many cryptos pumping, because Ethereum is pumping.
So let me ask you this: did BlackRock sell off their their crypto and their Bitcoin and put it in Ethereum, or is it just
they sold some? They sold some, just like Trump sold some. They've been putting it into Ethereum, and I'm going to go a little more into that, but this is what is happening at the moment, and I'm going to also explain why they're doing this.
And let me ask you this before you get started, because see, this is one of my concerns about XRP. And I'm not saying XRP not going to take off. It's just that there's so many people promoting XRP, but it looks like the elite doing something else. Like, for instance, they will buy like millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Now they're moving stuff into Ethereum. It seems like just as it started off with Bitcoin and Ethereum, is going to always be Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? That's going to be the big players. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
No, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of these coins are, but when it comes to the financial system, I mean, the two coins that I'm bullish is XRP and Quant. And I'm not going to talk about Quant much on here. I'm going to talk a little bit about XRP, but hopefully I'll be able to explain what's happening. So this is the Ethereum dominance. Now, this chart here, I just took this screenshot today. This is from what's called the Strategic ETH Reserve. Now, if you notice here, I have Bitmine, Immersion Tech, and then SharpLink. So SharpLink is one of the main players of SharpLink is Joseph Lubin. So Joseph Lubin is one of the co-founders of Ethereum. But this company called Bitmine is number one. Now, if any of you have paid attention to any crypto channels, you may have heard the name Tommy Lee, and I'm not talking about Tommy Lee, the actor. There's a Tommy Lee who is involved with Bitmine. And if you'll notice this post I grabbed where Peter Thiel, the man who co-founded PayPal, he bet early on Facebook, Palantir, and Bitcoin. He just made another move. He took 9% of his stake in Bitmine and tied it to ETH and Tommy Lee. He saw Facebook before Zuckerberg. He saw Bitcoin before Wall Street. Now he is going heavy on ETH. So
explain this again. I mean, I'm a bit confused.
They are going into ETH, and the way one guy explained it, the reason why the reason why Wall Street is going into ETH is because they understand yields. They understand how, they want to know how. They don't necessarily understand staking, but they understand yields and making their money. So the way Ethereum works, and through the ETFs and all the things that they're going to put in place, they can wrap their mind around it. So that's what.
So it's interesting. I remember people were talking about how Ethereum is too slow and all this stuff. Now they're moving into Ethereum. I always knew something was up with that.
You're right, because everything that you got to just do the opposite of what they do.
Opposite. Yep.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, do the opposite, whatever they tell you.
Whatever they tell you. Now, this chart here this is an interesting chart, because to your point about the dollar. So if you look here, starting at the top, when the dollar and the Dixie, so this chart is called the Dixie. And when the Dixie breaks below $1, so if you notice here, here, and here, anytime the dollar broke below $1 and went like to 99, 98, whatever, is when you saw Ethereum spike. So here, Ethereum spike. Here, Ethereum spike. Here, Ethereum spike. And because a drop in the dollar acts as a financial stimulus when it comes to risk assets, and crypto is still a risk asset. So as dollar falls, assets reprice and people go into risk assets because they feel like they're richer. It's a similar mindset for people who love buying meme coins. Like, people will love to tell you, I just spent $20 and got 50 million Shiba Inu or Dogecoin or whatever meme they buy, because they think by having so many it's valuable, but it really, at the end of the day, is not.
So let me ask you this. Do you think the reason they're going into Ethereum now is because they're going to be implementing these smart contracts along with, some of the stocks and, what's that? The Clarity Act, right?
Yes.
So that's why they're moving into it.
So you're going to be able to do this with Cardano, XRP, Solana as well. But again, the people with the money understand ETH more so. But it doesn't mean that Ethereum is going to be the only player in town.
Yeah. So why do you think, though, they're moving money into Ethereum and not Cardano?
Well, because everything is in place for Ethereum to do what they want to do. You know, I don't have it here, but I showed a couple of people where in the next Ethereum, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, these are all ETFs that they plan on rolling out, and it could be within the next month. Definitely the Ethereum ETFs. Now, the thing about ETFs, the reason why it's a plus is because there's still a lot of people out there that don't understand crypto. They definitely don't understand having cold or hot wallets. And through having an ETF, you get the best of both worlds. You get to own Ethereum or XRP without having to worry about setting up a wallet to actually hold it. Somebody else is your custodian.
So let me ask you this. Some people barely know how to copy and paste. How do you think, the older people, the grandmas, grandpas, how are they going to handle this conversion from the legacy systems to the new, digital system?
They're going to make it seamless. And this is you just gave me a softball question. So your question is the reason why Quant is another player, because when it comes to corporations, there's so many of them that are still based in the old legacy technology, and they can't really convert over to blockchain. And so that's what Quant does with their overledger. They are going to be able to take these companies that are on legacy systems and seamlessly incorporate them. Because nobody wants to do things if it's too tough.
Yeah. Yep.
It has to be seamless.
Yeah. But everything seems to be tied to a wallet, right? So they're at least going to have to be trained on the use of a wallet.
So I think I mentioned it on one of your shows, where they're going to just work with Apple and Google and the different providers to where you're just going to your phone is going to go through a system update, and all of a sudden you're going to have a new wallet, and they're going to make it as seamless for you as possible. Because here's the bad part of all of this. You do or say anything they don't like, they'll turn it off.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the scary part.
Oh yeah. And see, my theory is, and I mentioned this before, is that the initial phase, they're not going to do that because they want 100% adoption. Yeah, they want to get everybody in, but it's going to be a short window, maybe 6 months, max a year, and then they're going to close all of the hatches, right? And they're going to have a control system with, not only surveillance, but social credit. All that's coming.
Now, the only ones that at least initially will have the advantage are all of us that have our own private wallets. That will give us the ability to work outside of their wallets. But I've already heard of a couple of people who they have had their wallets blacklisted to where they tried to. So they have coins, what are called privacy coins. Monero is one of them. The government hates Monero.
Yeah.
So if they see you doing something with Monero, they will blacklist your wallet because they think you're doing black market stuff. So in time, they may be able to shut down your cold wallets as well. This is why my belief is within the next 2 years, you want to take whatever you are able to make and buy physical assets, so that even if they turn everything off, especially if you go outside this country, because most other countries, you're not worrying about paying off a house, but paying all these high taxes. You go to the continent, you buy something, pay for it, and it's yours outright. So now maybe you set up some solar, you set up your home near a water supply. So you try your best to be as independent as possible, so that when this stuff does happen, you're at least in a better position than the majority of the people are.
Yeah. So like I was thinking that, assuming this takes off and, we all become millionaires or whatever, who knows? I will buy assets in 3 different countries.
Okay.
Right. And I'm gonna buy some land in 3 different countries, put a house on it, solar, water, all independent, because you never know what's gonna happen in one country or another. So make it where you can move from one country to, in case the B system encroach too much in one African country over another. So who knows how it's gonna play out.
That's not a bad idea. You might say, hey, I'm going to do something in the southern region, one in the east, one in the west.
Yeah,
that makes
exactly.
That's just like telling people to diversify. Don't put all your money in one bank.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
And once you have assets, right, physical hard assets, even if they kick you out and shut down your access to the digital currency, you got land, you got a house, you got electricity.
You can grow your own food.
Exactly.
That's the key. Now, all 3 major crypto bills cleared with the House. So to your point earlier, we got the Genius Act, Clarity Act, and anti-CBDC. Those are the 3 right now. And the big kicker is that the Trump White House just backed a 0% capital gains tax on small Bitcoin payments. So next year, when it's time to do your taxes, anyone, especially because they talked about US-based crypto, you may not have to pay a lot of tax on this money that we make.
So let me ask you this. What do they mean by small Bitcoin payments? What do they mean by that?
So I don't know. They haven't clarified what qualifies as small, meaning the amount. They haven't quantified that yet.
Okay.
Now, this is interesting that you talked about 401ks. So Donald Trump is set to open the U.S. retirement market to crypto investments. So basically what he's doing, he's preparing to open, there's a $9 trillion United States retirement market. He's about to open that $9 trillion up to cryptocurrency investments in gold and private equity in a move that would spur radical shift in a way American savings are managed. So Trump is expected to sign an executive order as soon as this week that would open up 401k plans to alternative investment. So they realize everything is crumbling too. So they're going to give you the option, instead of seeing your money sink, they're going to allow you to put that into crypto. Now, here's the amazing part. Just a month ago, the crypto market cap as a whole was $3.2 trillion. Today, when I checked it, it was almost 4. So within a month, crypto, $1 trillion has invested into crypto in 1 month. Think about that number, $1 trillion in a month. So crypto is a small percentage of the overall economic landscape. When they start moving this money into crypto, everybody who's holding the let's say the top 100 cryptos, they are going to make so much money. And this is not financial advice. I'm just seeing the writing on the wall.
Well, here's the thing. When we look at what's happening with, like I said in the beginning, with these laws, there's really no need for you to be suspect about what we're saying anymore, because you should at least be able to see that we're in a new economic system, right? The old system is gone. I mean, really, you just haven't realized it yet because you're still holding dollars, right? But, we already in the new system. That's what this means.
Yes. Now, this is a screenshot of retirement assets. Currently, there's $43.4 trillion in retirement assets. Now, just think, if just half of that goes into crypto, that means any cryptos you own are going to explode in value. because this money is all going into crypto.
Yeah.
So now, one thing to remember is that all markets have market cycles. So even though we're bullish today, nothing lasts forever. So in my perception and in my thought that I've been thinking from the beginning of the year, I said that from the day that ISO 200.22 goes into effect, which it did this week, October, the European Central Bank goes into effect, and then in November, everybody has to be on ISO 200.22. So to me, you have about a 90-day window to, if you're not into crypto today, you got 90 days to start getting loading up. This is my opinion. And so what I wanted to show you here also is, as I said, so when I did this, the crypto market cap was 3.2, but it's closer to 4 now. So let's say, and I had ChatGPT do this for me. So I took the current market cap and told it, if the current market cap goes from 3.2 to 10 trillion, what could we see in terms of prices? And look at the numbers it gave me. It's talking about Bitcoin going to 500 to 750,000, Ethereum, which is now at 3,400, going to between 25 and 35,000 a coin. Binance going from 5 to 8,000. Cardano, which is right now at 81 cents, going to $8 to $12. Solana, which is right now $175, going to 2 to 3,000. XRP, and I think this is low, but it's got XRP at $10 to $15. But actually, I think XRP between now and next end of the year, let's say by March, I can see XRP being between $7 and $10. Polkadot, I was a little surprised at this. Polkadot being $300 to $500, and Dogecoin, it says 50 cents to $1, and Avalanche 500 to 800. But when you look at the prices now, like Bitcoin's right now at 100, a little over, like 118,000. I mean, just look at these numbers. We're talking about a $10 trillion market cap. As I said, it went from 3.2 to 4 trillion in a few weeks. So with all of these major players now getting the green light and dumping money into crypto, it's not hard to see a $10 trillion market cap. And 10 trillion is still a fraction of the TradFi, which stands for TradFi stands for traditional finance. The traditional finance market cap is over 100. So think about this. We're just talking about 10, and look at the skyrocketing price. And the big reason why this is the case is because what makes cryptocurrency so unique is that you don't print till eternity. There is a finite amount with crypto. Any question?
The only question I have is Polkadot. What is it used for, and what is its current market value?
So Polkadot, I'm going to give you that answer. Hold on a second. So Polkadot currently is $4.26. And basically, I owned Polkadot a long time ago. It's a DeFi. It unites the world's innovators and change makers, building and using the most transformative apps. So it's basically for creating of apps. So it's kind of like one of the tools that's going to help connect all of these different platforms. Any other question?
No, that's it.
Okay. Now, you can only see her hair, but this is Christina Lagarde. So Christina Lagarde used to be the head of the IMF, and then she took over. She's the head of the European Central Bank. So the same way the United States put in their Fedwire this week, Europe has planned that they will have theirs in place by October. Now, the European Central Bank targets October to finish their digital euro phase, which is finalizing preparations by October, advances a public sovereignty digital payment infrastructure that complements cash and bank deposits, reinforcing the euro as a reliable anchor amid the decline of cash and dominance of foreign payment systems. Now, look at the second bullet. It supports the EU's aim to build its own payment rails, reducing reliance on US card network. So basically the way we have grown up using MasterCard, Visa, etc., like Visa and MasterCard are not going to be the only games in town anymore. November is the deadline that everybody has to have their house in order. SWIFT and nearly all large payment systems will support for legacy the MT ISO 152.2 message formats by November 22nd, switching entirely everything over to ISO 200.2.2. So by November, everything across the world will be ISO 200.2.2. This is why I say you want to load up now, and more so even load up on ISO coins. And you know, we talked about ISO coins, XRP, XLM, Quant, Cardano. Those are just four to name a few, but you know, those are going to, because they're going to be part of the ISO system, they're only going to go up in value because they're going to need them for the banking system. Now, this is something fascinating. I don't know how many here have heard of a company called Standard Chartered. Brother Jacoba, have you ever heard of Standard Chartered?
Never.
So Standard Chartered, in its current form, was founded in 1969, but it was a merger of the Chartered Bank of India, Australia, and China, which was established in 1853 under a royal charter by Queen Victoria. The Standard Bank of British South Africa, founded in 1862. These two historic banks combined in 1969 to form the modern-day Standard Chartered Bank. So now, right above the logo, I have the word CIVI. So what CIVI stands for is this. CIVI stands for Systematically Important Financial Institution. Remember in 2008 when we were having the banking crash and everybody would throw around the term too big to fail? Well, yeah. That's what this bank is. This is an actual CIVI. This bank is a systematically important financial institutional banker because of its size, complexity, interconnectedness, and lack of substitutes. If this bank was to crash, we would have a global situation multiple times what 2008 was. And
is this bank in the city of London?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know where. Let me look. That's a good question.
And what would happen if the Bank of International Settlements collapsed? That would collapse all banks, right? Wouldn't it?
Yeah, because they are the father of all the central banks.
Yeah.
So the main location is, you're right, City of London. You know what? That shouldn't surprise anybody because the three heads, everybody always says the three heads, the church is Rome, the financial system is City of London, and the military arm is Washington, D.C. Those are the three-headed monster.
Yep.
Now, the reason I bring up Standard Charter is because they just did a deal with Ripple. So, as I've said, XRP is going to be the one. This is the coin that's going to run the whole financial system. So they just did a deal with Ripple. And anyone who doesn't know, those who are part of my class probably know, but Ripple also chartered to have their own bank. And Ripple is coming out with they're coming out with an ICO sometime early next year. So those who are into stocks, you got to be, as they call it, accredited investor. But this is what's going on. They just doubled down on Ripple. So this is the bank. I always would say that the BIS was the bank of all banks, but this is like the true bank behind the scenes. This is kind of like the bank, and
the secret society of banks, huh?
Yes, that's a great way to put it. And they have put their hat in the ring for Ripple XRP. And that was it. So
let me ask you this. So if they're putting everything behind XRP, and XRP is really going to be used by the banks themselves behind the scenes, right? So the crypto or the coins that we have, the best thing to do with those is to stake those in the long term, or like let's say everything kicks off, you don't want to sell them, right? You want to hold it forever, right?
Yeah. So one of the plans going forward,
and this is not financial advice.
So one of the plans going forward. So let's pretend you had $100,000 worth of Bitcoin and you decided that you wanted to buy a house and you needed $100,000 to buy that house. Well, under the current circumstances, you have to pay short-term or maybe long-term capital gains on that money. So out of that $100,000 that you had in Bitcoin, you might have to put 30,000 of it just to pay tax. Well, what they are doing, and they're setting this all up to where, and I mentioned, I think on our very first show, that you will never need to sell your crypto, that you can loan out your crypto. They will give you, so the banks never saw crypto as an asset, so they would never do it before. But now that it has been given its blessing, now you can use it as any other asset. So now you can take a loan up against it, but you don't have to sell it. So the reason it's not in place yet is because, again, it goes back to trust. So they are putting the systems in place so that if you want to take your $100,000 of Bitcoin and leverage it towards buying a house without selling it, now you'll put it into like a smart contract, as you mentioned, to where if the price of Bitcoin goes below a certain amount, the bank or the person makes sure that they're going to get their money. But if XRP or Bitcoin or whatever asset you own goes up in value, you're actually taking advantage of it while it's going up, and you're not going to kick yourself for selling it.
So let me ask you, I heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I heard that a judge ruled on some case that is going to force the institutions to stop buying the assets, crypto assets behind the scenes, and they're gonna have to come to retail now. Is that true?
Oh my gosh. I haven't heard that because most of the big players buy it over the counter. And so this is why you don't tend to see large jumps in the pricing when a company like takes $1 trillion and invests it in Bitcoin or Ethereum. But if that happens, what you just said, oh my gosh, that's
yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I just heard this like yesterday, so I couldn't validate anything.
But can you imagine? I mean, if that happens, here's where
it's gonna skyrocket, right?
It will, but here's why I would love that to happen. But here's why I don't know is because that would mean people like you and me can make money. And at the end of the day, they never want to put anything in place for us to make money.
Yeah.
But if that happens, forget it. That's a game changer.
Yeah. But here's the thing. With all of this stuff that's happening, I notice parallel to this that people not talking about is that the African Union is working with the United Nations discussing about our reparations, and this is supposed to be the decade of reparations from, I think it's 2025 to 2063 or something like that. I don't know, because 2063 is the agenda 2063 for African Union, right?
Right.
And we are the 6th region. And so that, from what I've seen is that behind the scenes, they're having this conversation as well about reparations. To me, this is just sort of weird. Like all of this stuff is converging. I mean, literally, that's why I say when I look at this stuff, I'm seeing all of the prophecies come together. I'm like, how far can our wilderness experience be?
And to your point, if one or two things were happening, okay, but too many things are happening all at the same time.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're not smart enough. Like there was a plan put in place. Now, here's the one thing I'm going to recommend for everybody. Whether you are into crypto, have been into crypto, or want to get into crypto, now is the time, whether it be listening to people like me or others, now is the time you want to start educating yourself on crypto. I'm not saying you have to come to me, but go to somebody. Go to somebody you trust. Obviously, you can come to me, but I don't want you to feel that I'm the only game in town. I want everybody to go to whoever they feel comfortable, because you need to get yourself educated on how to get crypto, what crypto to buy, and just to protect yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think people need to realize that we're in a time of revolutionary change, just like when we got off the gold standard, right? That's the time we're in right now. And if you're not positioned, you're going to be just like the 1930s, right? With the stock market crash, right? Because we're going into a new system, just like we did back then. And of course, the elite going to always, make a ton of money. But where are you going to be positioned? Now, my concern is, it is the beast system, right? The concern is they are going to lock us down and they're going to enforce the mark of the beast. But personally, from my research, it could happen before, but my research says the mark of the beast is going to be implemented about 2030. At least that's what their target is. It could happen before.
At least that's the year that they have publicly mentioned.
Yeah. So it's like, we have to position ourselves to, ride the wave or get out of it or whatever. You got to have a plan, because like I always say, we don't know how the Most High going to allow this to play out and how much we're going to have to deal with. We just don't know.
And thank you for bringing that up, because one of the things I've stressed to those that have taken my classes is you've got to have a plan. You need to set yourself up with a short-term and a long-term plan. And for instance, if your plan is to go to the continent, like think about how much money you need to make it happen. Like you really can't say, oh, I made some money. Like you really need to sit down and put a plan in place. Okay, if I get this much, I can do this. I'm looking to get this much. If you have a target of $100,000 as an example, that means you got to put more in, or if you don't have as much to put in, you're going to have to take much more riskier investments, high risk, high reward.
Yep.
But these are all the type of things you need to sit down and ask yourself, because at the end of the day, the only one you can blame is yourself if you don't get to where you want to get.
And think of this, right? When you look at all of the things that's happening, and you understand that all of this is orchestrated and by design, whereas all of these pieces that build the image of the puzzle is all coming together to make the image. And I've given that example or analogy before. And so, like, for instance, at the same time that the mark of the beast is about to rise, right, this global beast control grid, you have Senegal, you have Benin, you have Guinea, and you have Kenya even releasing their visa for all Africans to come there. What is the odds of all of these African countries saying, guess what? If you show me you're connected to Africa, you could get African citizenship. I'm like, come on now. I don't believe in coincidences. I'm like, all of this is prophetic, and the timing is just astronomical, right? I'm like, something's is happening prophetically on a global scale. And I'm personally expecting, us to get out of here, but how we get out of here and who makes it out is the question mark, right? But I mean, as I was telling Brother Fast Nickel before the show, as the Most High said, or at least as the three Hebrew boys said, my Elohim is able to deliver me, but if he don't, right, I'm not going to bow to the system. This is where we're at, right? I mean, we are really in a transitional moment here. And for those who not pre-positioned are going to hurt, right? I'm not saying we all not going to hurt because we don't know. But I mean, like, you have to be wise enough to make plans for when you see the storm coming and it's going to rain, right? Maybe your plans won't work out. Maybe you need it more than an umbrella, right? To protect you from the rain. Who knows? But at least you had an umbrella. You're not going to get hit as hard as everybody else.
True. So, I'll just let, for everybody, anybody who's interested, I'll just let everybody know this, that on my website, for the month of August, for the month of July, I basically had our Monday Q&As. I'm going to do it for August as well. So anybody who wants to sign up, basically what we do is every Monday we get together. I always say 30 minutes, but it always goes for an hour, hour and a half. And I go over things that are happening in crypto. I answer a lot of questions, because most of you that are listening to this today, you're still learning. So at least I've built a rapport with many of you that are very comfortable with asking me and know that I'm never going to purposely steer you in the wrong direction. Now, I have been asked if I'm going to do another live 10-week course. I don't know if I am, but what I may do, and I'll talk to Brother Yacoba about this, I may do a 1 hour, like a really condensed thing, and provide a lot of videos to go along with it. But at the same time, anybody who signs up for that, I'm going to do the same thing I did with my live class, set aside a certain amount as a gift offering to Brother Yacoba. So that's something that I may do for September. I'm still putting together my thoughts in terms of content. But right now I'm working on just my Q&As, because things change every day. So I'm just trying to keep the people that follow me up to date on what's going on.
So let me ask you this question, Brother Fast Nickel. What do you see as the catalyst for, the mass adoption of digital assets, that's going to force people from the legacy system to the digital system?
So the bill that Trump just signed was part of that catalyst, because now they have clarity. They know that there's no hidden agendas. There's no hidden sanctions that they're going to get hit with. Now, besides that, it's now going back to what Trump said way back during his inauguration, when he had Peter Thiel and the other guy, the Asian gentleman. I mean, they're about to load all this money, trillions of dollars, into AI and into the structure. So I think these laws were the catalyst to where now you're just going to see institutions dump millions, if not trillions, into Ethereum. Now, for anyone who feels that Ethereum's too high and they're kind of late, because right now Ethereum is at like $3,600. But remember, when it comes to any crypto, you don't have to buy a full crypto. So if you said, I want to have some ETH, but I don't have 3,600, but I have 1,000, you can always buy a fraction of ETH. So don't ever think you have to have the full amount of anything. With that said, if you don't buy ETH, you can buy other layer one cryptos. And so other layer ones are XRP, Solana, Cardano. These are all layer ones. There's a bunch of layer ones. Sui is a layer one. So I personally look for coins that I can 5-10x my money, because as I was saying to Brother Yakova, if I invest $1,000 today and I can take that $1,000 to 5 or 10, that's good. But really, all I'm looking at is a nice vacation next year. I'm looking for something that could really change my life.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking just to get something to get me out of Dodge, because look, I understand what's coming, right? So, as I said, I've been open and honest with what my plan is to leave here. I'm not playing. I know what's coming. I'm not dealing with it. I don't care what nobody's saying. I'm out. If I get the money, I'm just saying.
So, Brother Yakova,
because here's the thing: America gonna be the worst. America gonna be worse from among any of the Western nations, any of the European nations. America's the center of the beast system. It's gonna be worse than anything, right?
That is true. In your estimate, what do you think is a fair amount that you want to have? Is it 50,000, 100,000, more than that, less than that?
What do you mean?
That you want to acquire to leave here?
Well, I need more than that. Reason being is, like I say, I want to buy property in more than one African country and set up locations there. And also remember, you have to think about your family members who are not planning at all, who don't know anything about crypto, who's not planning on investing in crypto, who's probably going to lose a lot of stuff. Like today, you see a lot of people, losing their jobs. They're homeless. They're on the street. I've seen so many people today living in their cars, and they're going to public parks and stuff like this, wilderness places to live, moving. I'm like, this is all of the dystopian stuff that's happening right now to the average American. And, so to me, I'm praying it's a lot more than 50,000, because, you got to plan for not just you and your immediate family, but your extended family, assuming you care about them, like your mama and your cousins and your brothers and your sisters. That's just me. Some of y'all don't care about your family, so that's up to y'all. But
to your point, one of the things I've said in my classes and in my Q&As and just in our group discussions, is getting away from this me mentality that we have here in the U.S. and think about more of a more of a thinking from a multitude standpoint, so that you can have a community setting, because we need to work together. You know, everybody has different skill sets. Everybody is gonna it's a mixed multitude, and so we need to work together, because as Brother Yacoba has shown from all his shows, it's really the whole world against us. So if we don't work together to help ourselves, we are really killing ourselves, because they're already coming after us.
Exactly. And see, that to me, that's what boggles the mind, right? It's like, even with your immediate family and, you know, your nephews, your nieces, your aunts, your uncles, because we can't even work amongst that. Now, to imagine that we can get the Israelite community, we family, to work together boggles my mind. It has to be a supernatural event. We are just like, for instance, like I say, you know, I mean, we still marrying them folks, right? We giving our wealth and our inheritance to them folks. And I'm like, look, you do you. I ain't hating on nobody. I'm just saying, how in the heck we build a nation when we working with the enemy? How in the heck we gonna come together and put our resources together when we giving the resources back to them? I'm like, it just don't make no sense. And let's be honest. Like I said, even for this ministry, less than 1% support this ministry, right? It's like, I just don't understand how we can come together. You know, it's gonna have to be supernatural. I'm sorry. That's where I'm at. It's super. I don't see us waking up one day. Because look, even after this, after all the stuff we talked about with the laws that have literally passed, right? The laws that you know now is the law of the land about crypto. Guess what? You know how many people going to change and learn about crypto and invest? Very few, probably less than 1%, right? And it's look at the people in the live, right? It's like most people going to be caught unawares. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, to me, I'm like, be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove, seek the Most High. But I'm going to tell you, it's only going to be a remnant. I'm telling you, it's just going to be a remnant.
It's a sad, and to the point that Yeshua made about our family, like, we have to also remember, we want to make a way for our brother, sister, cousins, etc. But we also know that a lot of them are not going to want to live under the laws of the Most High. And so the person who's not necessarily your immediate blood relative is going to be more family than your family, because you're in alignment, you're in sync with the Most High's laws and commandments.
So RNT said yes, because I don't trust easily anymore. I'm with you. I'm 100 with you on that, RNT. That's me too. I don't trust easily anymore. I don't. I've been jaded. You know what I'm saying? I've been betrayed so much. I don't trust easily anymore either. I'm that's just the way it is. You know.
And that's the reason I put that slide with the broken chain, because no one trusts anybody anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. And guess what?
Many times.
Yeah, we got good reason. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, look, it's just gonna be the miracle of the Most High. I'm like, He's our hope, but at the same time, like I said, the way I live my life is to use the brain that the Most High has given me, right, and to use common sense and make strategic, logical moves, because we still have to live in this world and make decisions. Now, the Most High says the steps of a righteous man are ordered by Him. Right. But guess what? You got to take the step. That's what our people don't realize. They expect this just supernatural miracle thing to happen where all of a sudden we're wealthy and we're out of here. Like I said, that could happen, but we don't know how it's going to happen. Let me tell you this. Like, for instance, I was talking to my brother yesterday, and we were talking about the Exodus. And there's a lot of stuff that we don't see within the Exodus that, you know, even me, I didn't see. And, you know, because you be in Christianity, they don't emphasize these things. But when the Most High says, you know, hey, Pharaoh, let my people go. And Pharaoh was saying, you know, Israel is my firstborn. Do you know what the Most High was really saying? If you paraphrase that scripture, he was saying, look, Israel, my firstborn, you better let him go, else I'm going to kill your firstborn. That's what the Most High told him.
Yeah.
Right. And so, we see this dynamic of, that this is a serious play, a spiritual warfare, and we're back in that situation again. The Most High telling this world, you let my firstborn go, or else I'm going to kill your firstborn. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. And like I said, I'm seeing all of these prophecies coming together at the same time. I'm expecting the wilderness experience relatively soon, whatever that means. I don't set no dates, no times. I'm just looking at the signs, right? I'm looking at the birth pains, and I'm saying, okay, what's next on the prophetic timeline based upon what I see? I think the wilderness experience is next. I don't want y'all to mix it up with the second Exodus, because I believe that's after we go into the wilderness, which I know is different than what we saw in that first Exodus, that we exit out of Egypt first into the wilderness, because this is a global Exodus. The ones in Babylon got to flee, run for your lives, and then the Most High going to bring us back to the land together at the same time from the four corners. That's the scriptures, right? Ain't nobody telling you this. And that's why I say, for me, I move different. Because I see the prophecies. I believe I understand the prophecies, and I'm positioning myself for those times, right? For those fulfillments. Because guess what? The Most High word is coming to pass verbatim. And sometimes I do feel discouraged because I want to be out of here already. But at the same time, guess what? It's already ordained when we leave. We're not going to change it. It's already ordained when we're going into the wilderness. So, how we get in there and whether or not we make it past the sword is the question.
The one story I love, when you talk about the people who say, I'm waiting on the Most High. And my response to that is, look at the woman who had the issue of blood. If she would have just kept on waiting, she would have wound up dying. But at some point, you have to say to yourself, enough is enough. And she took charge. She did something at a time where no woman went and touched a man or even congregated with men. But she was at such a desperate point in her life that she didn't care. And maybe that's where people have to get to, where they make a change.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's where we're at. And like I've said in some of my teaching, go look at it. If you don't believe it, I say they're going to push us out. Now Trump is threatening to kick out naturalized citizens. You know how many people who are U.S. citizens and they became naturalized citizens not because they were immigrants, but because their families was in the military. They could have been citizens, but they grew up in another nation, Germany, Turkey, or whatever, living on a military base, and therefore they naturalized because they were born in another country, right? He's looking to kick them out. I'm not saying it's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to play. I'm just saying I'm like, people don't get it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't. Before you call it a Shabbat or begin the Shabbat, do you have any other question or comment for me?
I guess my question would be, do you want to take a question or two from the chat?
Sure.
All right, fam. If y'all got a question for Brother Fast Nickel, put question in front of it.
And don't be afraid.
Ask him your question.
The only way you're going to learn is to ask the question.
Yeah. I will say this, have a mindset of learning, right? And all you're getting, get understand.
While you wait for a question. So I know that a couple of months ago when I was talking to you and your brother, he wasn't on the same page initially with crypto, but now he is. So is he gung-ho for crypto now?
He's not gung-ho. He owns crypto. Don't get it twisted. Okay. But, for me, I've been doing, consistent investment. And like I'm going to give y'all some of my stuff. This is not financial advice. I've not only bought crypto, but I bought stock, right? I have some Coinbase. I have some Circle, right? If you got the money, I recommend you get that because it's gonna go up, right? And so, I invest not just in crypto but stocks as well, because you don't know how this thing gonna play out, right? And I even got a little bit of IBIT, because IBIT invest in crypto, so that sort of gives you some more diversification. Like I said, don't follow me because I am not the investment guy, right? I'm just sharing what I'm doing.
I'm glad you brought that up because I mentioned it before about X stocks, where they are now tokenizing everything. So through X stocks, you can see that you can basically buy crypto versions of traditional stocks. If you're not a stock person, you can buy the crypto alternative. It's the same price, etc., but you're just buying it through the crypto way as opposed to going through, let's say, a stock house.
Yeah. All right. So here's a question: how do you get your mama and aunties and grands on this mindset?
So
I don't know. They're stuck in their ways. Answer that one. I don't know.
Well, think about this. The one reality of life is everything is not for everyone. And you're going to meet people that you can show them until they're blue in the face how much it makes sense, and they're still not going to go along with it. And you have to just accept that. Just like when this exodus happens and some of you leave, you don't want to be in a situation where Lot's wife, where she's worrying about her other daughters and she gets turned to a pillar. You don't want to be that person. You have to be ready to say, I love you, but the Most High is more important.
Oh, yeah. And, like I think I mentioned it before, that I always looked at, because the Christians really taught it this way, that Lot's wife was longing for her life in Sodom and Gomorrah. But, it came to me that really she was worried about her family who stayed.
Yeah, it's not until you read Jasher and the Apocrypha books that you learn this.
Yeah. So here's another question. What's your opinion about Zebek network?
Wait a second. I got to ask this question. Whoever you are, just say yes. Have you been to any of my classes? I don't recognize the name. And I'm saying that because everybody who's been in my classes, I told them to get Zebek back in March, and they've all made tremendous gains. Zebek is a coin. So let me just show you. So when we talk about coins to make that you can make money, and this is not financial advice, but I believe it's going to do well. So if you look at Zebek network is less than a penny. It's less than a penny. It's gone up. When you look at all the things that they're doing, Hardee's has gotten involved with it. They have a partnership with Uphold. They are in talks with Ripple because Ripple and XRP is forming a bank. I'm gung-ho on Zebek. I have a lot of Zebek. I'm gung-ho on Zebek. The other coin that I like, that I think is going to do well, and you know what's funny, Brother Yakoba, you asked me about this coin, and I used to own this coin years ago. And when you mentioned it to me, I'm like, oh my God, Brother Yakoba was talking about reserve rights. And then when I started doing some more research, I said, you know what? It's time for me to get back into reserve rights, because anyone who has reserve rights as RSR knows who's behind it. And these kind of people, they don't lose. So I don't know when, but I see RSR doing really well. And this is the kind of coin that, because it's less than a penny, you can get this is the kind of coin where you can make thousands of dollars. Zebek is the type of coin you can make thousands of dollars. There's a lot of coins out there like that. The only difference is coins like this, you have to do more homework to make sure you're making the right move. Coins like Ethereum, Solana, XRP, that's easy play. Like, you know it's going to do well, but you're not, that's the only way you're going to make real kind of money is long term. But from a lot of us, we're not working in the long term. We're looking in the next, 6 to 18 months. What can make us a substantial amount of money? And so that's where you got to find these low cap coins, what I like to call the degen coins. That's why my avatar is my little trash panda, because I'm digging in the trash looking for coins like RSR. This is where you make your money, in coins like this.
Okay, so the next question, I need to know how I can get a hold of you. Okay, I put Brother Fast Nickel link out there. So maybe you could paste it again, Brother Fast Nickel.
Let me. I'm gonna put it in the private chat. Or let me see.
Okay, and also, family, I pinned it to the top of the chat, so it's pinned.
Yeah, it's pinned. So you just click it, and at the very bottom of the page, let me go back to when you go to learncrypto101.info, at the very, very bottom of my page, you can send me an email. Just put your name, your email, and your message, and it comes straight to me.
Okay, next question. How high do you see XRP going this cycle?
So this cycle, I would say, let's say by this time next year or sooner, I think $7 to $10 or 7 to 15. Now, there's always circumstances that we're not privy to that can make that price go even higher. Like, I've told a coworker, he thought I was crazy. I told him I will not be surprised if XRP is $4 one day and 40,000 the next. And he said, how can that be? And I said, because they plan on using it throughout all the banks, major and minor. And so because there is a limited supply, they have to raise the price so that you need less of it to do your transactions.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Is Coinbase a good place to start buying CRP?
CRP, I'm not sure.
I guess you mean crypto.
Oh, crypto. So some people, I'm going to say yes. I started off on Coinbase. So Coinbase is good. I like Uphold. Uphold has.
I personally don't like. I have Uphold, but I don't like it because I've had trouble making, trying to buy stuff, right? Whether it's connected to my bank account or connected to a credit card. For me, Coinbase, I don't have no problems, right?
Yeah,
the only issue is Uphold has assets that Coinbase don't. So,
that's the thing. So one of the things I've shown my students is how to use, when you go to CoinMarketCap, and how to use the contract address to use hot wallets as an example to get access to cryptos that you can't. So to give you an example, when the Trump coin came out back in January, you couldn't get it anywhere, but it was on like some remote exchanges. But because I knew the contract address and I knew it ran on Solana, I was able to use the Phantom wallet to purchase it. Now, I know this is going over the heads of most people, but if you're just going to use basic exchanges, Coinbase, Uphold, Crypto.com, and now Kraken. Those are 4 very good exchanges, and it's good to open up accounts on all of them. You don't have to open up your banking on all of them. Like for me, I only have my banking on one, but I make sure to have accounts on all of them, because as you'll learn, not every crypto is on every exchange. So some are on Uphold, but they may not be on Coinbase, and vice versa.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn, like on Uphold, it's probably better to, like, let's say, buy some XRP on Coinbase and transfer it over to Uphold and buy your stuff that way.
Yeah, that's what I do when there's a coin that is not on Coinbase. I'll just take Solana or USDC and move it over to Uphold and then convert it into the coin I want.
Yeah, I think that's the best way with Uphold. All right, so which crypto should I get first? I have none.
So I would say that so it's not so much about which one should you get first. I mean, if anything, I'm gonna always say XRP, but what I would also say is how much are you looking to spend initially, and then have a game plan based on how much you're going to spend, whether it be 500, whether it be 1,000, whatever it is. Because a lot of people will tell you, don't take your money invested into one coin. As much as I believe in XRP, XRP is not my only holding.
Yeah, mine either. You got to diversify, like with anything. Diversify. All right. Do we still put all our crypto on one code wallet?
So I'm going to tell you no. So as your assets grow and you have more and more, let's say you got 10, 20,000 or more, the same way you diversify with your bank accounts, diversify with your cold wallet. You want to put your crypto on multiple cold wallets. For one, if God forbid you lose your private keys, now at least all of your crypto is not lost. You only lose some. And plus, if for those of you who have kids or grandkids that you want to leave some to, it's not a bad idea to have multiple cold wallets and start putting a little bit on each wallet so you can leave for your family members, your grandkids or your kids.
What's the minimum amount of crypto do you recommend for starters in the 90 days?
As much as you can afford. So to be honest with you, for me, like every paycheck, I want to at least put $400 to $500 a paycheck. For some people, maybe more or less. Some people might say that I want to invest $50 a week or $50 every 2 weeks, but just invest something. Don't sit on the sidelines and say, oh, I only have $25. I don't have enough. Listen, that $25 will grow faster than you realize.
Yeah, just think if you bought Bitcoin, $25 worth of Bitcoin back in the day.
Exactly.
Before it got too high. All right. So question, how long will our old wallet be safe against the new system?
I don't have a direct answer, but I'm going to say, I think we're safe until 2030. Once they officially put things in place from a worldwide perspective, I don't think anything is safe. I think we're all subject to the beast.
Yeah.
To your brother Jacoba's point earlier, they're going to make everything seem so peaches and cream initially, but at some point they're going to pull the rug from all of us.
Yep. And it's not going to take that long for them to do it. I would say probably, from the time that it becomes accepted by the masses, you might have 6 months to a year before they go, mark of the beast level, dictatorship, type of, dystopian society, right? So I downloaded Uphold on my phone. Can I begin purchasing in that wallet?
Yes. I helped a friend of
Uh,
mine out on Sunday. He downloaded Uphold and he had a couple of $100, and I walked him through the whole thing. He bought a couple of $100 worth of crypto on Sunday.
so I think we answered this question already, right?
Yeah. You know, the typical answer that anyone will tell you is don't invest what you can't afford to lose. But I don't I don't even think that way anymore. To me, it's about survival. Like I don't have that negative thought of to lose. I'm like I'm in it. It's either gonna work or I'm gonna die trying.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't even look at it as the typical investment mechanisms where, let's say you invest $50 and you double your money. I mean, some people do this, and they take their profits. They do this. But my philosophy, and I'm not saying I'm right, is that this legacy system, the dollar, is going to crash, right? It's going to be devalued. And it's like, to me, I'm holding long term because, I'm going based upon the prophecies, based upon where we know the system is going, so like we were saying today about the laws that were passed that now make crypto a legitimate financial instrument, right? That now you can see that what we were talking about has happened, is no longer speculative, right? So you can see that long term, just from common sense, that the value of crypto is going to be higher than the value of the dollar. Why? Because this is the new system. And so the new system is going to rise because that's what they're raising, right? So, all right.
And for those of you who don't have crypto and are getting in for the first time this week or next, don't feel like you're behind. Like you still are. Just the fact that you're listening to this conversation, you're above. There's so many people that are. I think from a USA standpoint, I think only about 16% of people are even into crypto. So you're a lot further ahead than you realize.
Oh yeah, but I personally think, just my opinion, that by the fall you're gonna see major changes, right? I mean, just totally economically changing type of things happening. Like I said, when they went from the gold standard to the dollar, right, it was revolutionary in terms of how many people were made poor and how many people were made rich. I think by the fall, that's just my opinion, and we're pretty much almost there.
Yep.
You're gonna see major changes, right? Let's see. How can somebody start very small, like all they have is 100 extra each month? I mean, to me, that answered your question, right? Take that extra 100 and invest it in crypto.
Yeah. Think about how you use your money now. Like instead of taking that money and buying these things at the store that you don't need, buy something that's going to help in your survival. Like ask yourself how, like, do you really need to spend that money and go to the movies? Can you wait 3 months and wait till it comes out on TV and instead take that $100? Because think about it, $100, it's gonna cost. I mean, I don't drink, but if a couple goes to dinner and has drinks, that's $110 right there.
Or if you order a delivery, right, for your family for the weekend or whatever, there you go.
Exactly. Like, to be honest with you, anyone who really wants to change their life, it comes down to making a choice. Now, one of the things, I played sports growing up. I played baseball and I used to work out, and I'm lazy about it now. But, the funny thing is, if you talk to a lot of people who gave their life to Christ, a lot of times something dramatic happened in their life in order for them to do it. So for some people, like something has to happen to where they say enough is enough.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so this is gonna be my last question. Last question I'm gonna submit, and if y'all have more questions, y'all gonna have to reach out to Brother Fast Nickel at his website, which is pinned at the top of the chat. All right. Can you help us get invested if we choose to proceed?
And the answer is yes.
Like I've said before, Brother Fast Nickel taught me a lot. He's very patient and very thorough, right? If you want to learn from somebody, he's the one, and I wouldn't say it if it's not true. My experience with Brother Fast Nickel has been very positive, right? So, all right. So anything else, Brother Fast Nickel?
No, I just want to always thank you for sharing your platform with me, for giving me an exposure, but more importantly, to help our community. Because as we've said, if we don't help our community, no one's going to help us.
Exactly. And that's what I try to get our people to understand that, and I get it, right? There's a lot of people in our community you can't trust. So you do have to be cautious. Right. But at the same time, you have to do your own research and validation, right? You got to make logical, informed decisions. And so not just blindly trust because, like for instance, because it's me. Oh, it's Jacoba. I'm going to trust Jacoba. No, check my track record, right? Check my history. See if there's any rumors or stuff about me, right? I'm like, like I say, I'm honest, right? I try to be above board with y'all, but I'm just saying, I don't care who it is. You need to validate who they are, what they say, what they offer, and stuff like that. And like I say, my experience with Brother Fast Nickel has been positive, right? If I'm going to do business and want to learn about crypto, I'm going to Brother Fast Nickel, right? He's very informative and very knowledgeable about the topic and area. So that's just me. So, all right. Any final comments?
No, thank you again. And I know we'll talk again soon. And in the meantime, pay attention to your portfolios, have a plan, because it doesn't just continuously go up. At some point you might say, hey, I need to take my profits, put them to the side, and let the markets cool off, or you can just leave it there. But overall, have a plan of why you're doing this. What do you want to do with your gains? Are you looking to buy property? Are you looking to leave the continent? Whatever it is, have a plan.
All right. Thank you for coming on, Brother Fast Nickel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, fam. So make sure y'all go over there and, check out what Brother Fast Nickel is offering. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. And, also understand that the laws are now on the book. So now, like I said before, crypto or digital assets, whatever you want to call it, is a valid financial instrument now, right? Because there's laws governing it. So, you can't look at this anymore as a, theory or a conspiracy theory, right? I'm sure a lot of you all looked at it that way. And, some of you all probably looked at it as a Ponzi scheme, right? Because when my brother and I first looked at crypto, which is why we didn't get involved earlier, we were like, this is a Ponzi scheme. But guess what? A Ponzi scheme is a Ponzi scheme. But guess what? It's the government's Ponzi scheme. You know what I'm saying? Just like the stock market is a gambling house, right? So, that's what the stock market is. You invest in the stock market. It's a gambling house, right? And but it's the government's gambling house, right? And so that's just the way it is. So this new financial system, you have to understand, is a system meant to control and track and monitor, right? Oh yeah, the dollar's a Ponzi scheme as well. Yes, it is, But this system is designed for control, right? And so you have to be smart to use the system for your advantage, right? And that's what I'm doing. Yes, I trust in the Most High because He is the only one who could deliver us, but we have to use wisdom and logic, right? As Brother Fast Nickel said, if the woman with the issue of blood didn't reach out to touch the hem of his garment, she wouldn't have been healed. If she just waited, the Most High probably would have just passed her by. So that's just how it is, fam. Love y'all with the love of the Messiah. If you want to support us, you can by becoming a patron. You can also give at, Cash App, $TOTW7101, $TOTW7101. You can also like, if you didn't like the show, then don't give a like. But if you like the show, give a like, share, and subscribe. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. And also, please support us by buying my book, True Jerusalem, Lost Kingdom of the Israelites, or Minister Tayu's book. They always knew we were the Israelites. Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites, the groundbreaking work by me, Jacoby Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land. Why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers? A land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey. Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Jacoby Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to a hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey into the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem.